Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. The president arrived on Saturday and the country went agog. So here we are. In fact, you know, celebrations were reportedly excessive in some sectors where people were going crazy with their cars. But the president he spoke this morning at 7 o'clock. And he was looking much refreshed and a strong voice, and to all intents and purposes, the president is ready for business. Okay, we'll talk about that, his speech, but let me first of all introduce, my guest this morning, Mr. Yemi Mapaderun, strategy and governance expert. As always, Yemi, thanks for coming.
Good morning, my pleasure to be here. Good morning, viewers.
And Dr. Omadele Boyo, public affairs analyst.
That's all.
Thank you very much for coming on as well, Omadele. So there we are. Good news. The president is back. And perhaps much to, I don't know how to put this without sounding crappy, but, well, no evidence of being on life support and all those stories that we heard. The president himself even referred to social media saying that they might have gone a bit beyond the pale. Your impressions, Yemi, on well, first of all, his arrival, and then the, what, 4.5-minute odd speech?
Well, thank you. I was here last week, and I more or less predicted that the president's homecoming this time around was going to be highly celebrated. It was going to be a grand event. I didn't know it was going to come to pass, in less than a week. Yeah. And of course, you could see that about 12 hours before the president arrived, or a little bit more, there was this press release by his media team, yeah. Femi Adesina, yes. Specifically, about his arrival. Mm-hmm. And all the major news media, TV stations in Nigeria actually, covered that arrival live, on TV. I also tried to check some of the major international news media, and I saw that they were also interested.
Oh, yes. In fact, some people saw it on Al Jazeera, yes, for example.
I monitored Al Jazeera, mm-hmm. I monitored, BBC, I monitored Sky, and I saw that it was actually not a Nigerian event.
Indeed.
Because if you cast your mind back, a few weeks back, the CNN seemed to try to make light works of, the president's being in UK, setting a record of being the only president who has been out of the territory of his country for more than a number of days, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And all of that actually galvanized attention towards President Buhari. And so it was more or less a real climax that he arrived last Saturday. And I'm sure maybe apart from the a Clasico between Real Madrid and Barcelona, it must have been one of the most widely watched events in Nigeria in the last few weeks. So,
indeed.
And the president is back, and it is reassuring and really refreshing that indeed. He's looking so much more better than
indeed. Dr. Omadele Boyo, that's your territory. You're a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I saw that the man was fit. He was refreshed. His voice was strong, and he looked ready for business.
In fact, much better than when he came the last time. Because I had thought he would have come at night on maybe on a life support with a stretcher or something. But he came down, walked down the plane, greeted people.
Wait, when you say all of that, you're parodying, social media, of course.
Yeah. And also trying to say the way Yaradua was brought in at night. But this time he came strong. And not only that, he was able to, expect a guard of honor. That is not done by somebody who is barely just surviving. And then I was also impressed by the rousing welcome. It touched me because he didn't look stage managed. He didn't look like rent a crowd.
You'd have to have a heck of a lot of money to buy that kind of a crowd.
He was virtually lying on the ground. He couldn't move. His motorcade came to a standstill.
One report said the president actually ordered his motorcade to stop, so that he could acknowledge the teeming crowds. Yeah. It was just a sea of heads.
People who will not even be scared of the mobile police, they wanted to touch the car. And, it's a long time I've seen, even when I was young, in days of going on the streets of Lagos, and we had to gather around, all schools had to come out for a line-up from the airport through to when Gowon was passing by. I'd really seen a case where people came out en masse like that. And then it wasn't a political rally. And it wasn't something that was announced maybe like days before, and people were urged to come out to receive the president. So that spontaneity really drew my attention and touched me, regardless of who he is. He's not an angel. He's not, although someone described him like it was almost like being worshipped. But you see, with all these human frailties, and the fact that he was coming back from an illness, he went for treatment, people were still rejoicing over him.
Indeed,
you know,
because the president had said before that he had never in his life been this sick before, and so this was quite worrying. But as you said, we all saw it. We saw the president. We saw his gait. We saw his. We saw the tone of his voice.
Make a mention of his tone of his voice in the broadcast this morning. I was really touched by the firmness of his voice and the fact that he was able to read. He rarely made any mistake in terms of mixing up his lines, you know, and that showed a sense of awareness and an ability to compose himself and to talk and look straight at the camera.
And generally give all the indications that I'm here, I'm in charge.
Yes.
I think that came through. Okay, but the president spent, you know, it was a very short speech. He spent some of it thanking us, thanking his fellow countrymen, and referring to his, you know, long stay in the U.S. and thanking people for their prayers. Now he's back among his brothers and sisters. But after that, he got straight into business, and it seemed there are those who are saying that, you know, you might have heard what the president, how the president intends to perhaps conduct governance in the remainder of his first term. I don't know if he will be asking for a second term, but in the remainder of his term. The words he chose actually sort of gave an indication, because they were strong words. He was talking about not negotiable. Nigeria's unity, not negotiable. And this without prejudice to the fact that, yes, there are differences, but these have to be worked out. And he talked about a relentless pursuit of criminals and terrorists. Yemi, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts clearly are that, number one, the president made it very clear that he's back to, you know, very sound health. Like Dr. Boyo said, the presence of mind was there, and that he was always following up on activities that were happening in Nigeria while he was away. Secondly, he gave an indication that the next 21 months of his administration was going to be really action-packed. Now, talking about the length of the president's speech, I had predicted, even as far back as Saturday, when we were told he was going to address us, that it was going to be a maximum of 10 minutes. And so when, you know, he's kind of a taciturn kind of person, I want to assume that he had a much longer speech written for him, but they must have said, look, this is not a political rally. This is not an opportunity to impress anybody. It is just to send a message across that he is back as the leader of the nation, and that he feels, he understands what has been happening, and that he has a clear idea of how to address those issues.
The president, as a matter of fact, thank you. As you say that, I'm reminded that the president said that he was in daily contact with home and was aware on a daily basis of what was going on. Let's hear the president's own words.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far. The country must remain one and united. Nigerians' unity is settled and not negotiable.
There you go. By daring, those who are doing so, by daring to question our collective unity. So, as I said, a very unambiguous speech. You know.
In fact, before the cheering was a red line. And the president did mention what he called our national red lines. And that national red line is this existence as a country. And I think it was very important he said that, because if you listen, I mean, like we all listened there, I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in social media, have crossed the red lines. And I think it was referring to the IPOB, the Arewa guys, and everybody, and saying, blowing the whistle. Stop it. I'm back. We can't continue to stay at the fringes, at the edge. You are pushing the country towards the brink of a civil war or anything. You are crossing the red line. And so when a president draws a line, he's trying to tell you, don't try it.
And
don't try it.
Yes, indeed. And as you say, President saying, don't cross that line. But when he said that our collective unity is non-negotiable, he also said that, look, this is not to say that there are not issues, that there are not, concerns. But these have to be worked out. And he had said very clearly that no negotiation on our collective unity. Now, that's not going to be to the satisfaction of some.
Yeah, but remember, just to finish what I was saying, the next paragraph, if you allow the speech to go on, was that he referred to 2003. He said in 2003, when I just joined politics, that Emeka Odomego Ojukwu visited me in my home.
Wait a minute. Indeed. Yeah. Nobody says it as well as the president himself.
There are legitimate concerns. Every group has a grievance. But the beauty and attraction of a federation is that it allows different groups to air their grievances and work out a mode of coexistence. I am charging the security agencies not to let the successes achieved in the last 18 months be a sign to relax.
Okay, so imagine
yes, yeah. He did say that in 2003, because I mean, you were talking about daring to cross. He wasn't just daring people not to cross the red line. He stretched forth an olive branch. And because there's one thing to say, why are you daring Nigerians? You just came in and you're telling us you can't do it. It's negotiable job. The man said, well, in 2003, the well-known leader of the then Biafra did visit me and spent 2 days with me. And we spoke till midnight. He said we spoke till night. And the discussion was very free, and we had a wonderful time. And he mentioned
and that he finished by saying that, and we agreed that Nigeria had to remain one.
He said we analyzed the problems of Nigeria. We both came to the conclusion that the country must remain one and united. And I think he was trying to speak to a certain group of people, that we both came to the conclusion that this country must be united. Now, he did not say, I'm going to ignore your grievances. He didn't say that. But he said, the legislators are there. The Council of States is there. And that we can all still sit down and discuss how equitably Nigeria can remain a united country. So I want to use that to make people to understand that the president was not just playing to the gallery and was not just insisting that you're all noisemakers, get out of here. Instead, he was saying, look, let's have peace. Let us discuss. I think that is very significant.
Indeed. And when you look at it, as I said, it was an unambiguous speech, but the president does appear to be saying that. I think he was he gave us his plan. When we say the president has come back, we all wanted him back. Everybody wanted him back. When I say everybody, you know what I mean. They still were the naysayers, as is to be expected anywhere in the world. No vacuum while he was away, but he's come back. That's what everybody wanted, including acting president then, Osinbajo. Everybody wanted him back, and now he's back on the beat and ready to do the work that he was elected to do. But it's not an easy task, and there are those who are impatient, and that impatience hasn't gone away. And I guess the president is going to be tested if he, because there's so many issues. The economy is there. You have to deal with, some of the. You have to deal with grievances of these people. You have to deal with economic security and those kind of things. And those are not easy nuts to crack.
They are not. But if you permit me to dwell a bit on the president's insistence that the unity of Nigeria is settled, you must understand that from the historical perspective, that he was not just an observer during the Civil War.
Yes.
He was actually an active participant, you know, in that war.
He fought in that war.
He fought in that war. And he saw the privations, he saw the carnage that took place. And he also saw to the fact that those who were the protagonists at that time all came back to sort of regret putting their people through all those hardships. And that was why he said that it would be irresponsible of government to allow some irresponsible element in the society to create chaos and then run away and then leave the rest of us to clear the mess.
Exactly.
So you must...
Even with our blood.
Remember?
Exactly.
Even with our blood. And this is what has happened before, and this is actually what we know happens everywhere. We know what some past leaders in some other African countries and even in Europe have done, you know, creating crisis in their countries, and then once the heat is on, they take the next flight to a safe haven, and then they leave the people to suffer. And that is why nobody who fought or who witnessed the Civil War. I was just born during the Civil War, but we read accounts of the Civil War, irrespective of the accounts that you read. Whether you read from the Biafra side or you read from the federal troop side, there was a conclusion or unanimity that this is not something we should go through again. And historically, no country actually survives 2 civil wars. And for those who think that homogeneity of a nation, of a country, guarantees prosperity, guarantees satisfaction, guarantees peace, they better check Somalia. Okay. Somalia has just one tribe. Somalia has about 99% Muslims. But Somalia has been in a perpetual state of war.
A failed state.
For the past 30 years.
So much so that it's been
there was so much noise in the Sudan, especially by Southern Sudan people. They had the oil, 90% of Sudanese oil. They insisted on self-determination. South Sudan became an independent country less than 3 years ago, but less than 1 year into independence, they got into another war. And they are still fighting today. And then the North, which they thought they were going to punish by deciding, because look, natural resources are nothing. When anybody is pushed to the wall, that is when the best of innovativeness come. So Sudan is doing very well. South Sudan, which has 90% of Sudanese oil, is in a perpetual state of war. So we are not going to end this balkanization if we allow it to start. And that is why we are speaking from the president and those like him are speaking based on experience and based on foresight.
That part where the president said, as Yemi recalled, that when these things happen, people who are calling for all sorts of these kinds of action, invariably they scamper away when it gets red hot, and then leave it for because people are going to have to attempt it. They leave it for others to clear up the mess, and this could involve further loss of lives. The president was talking about that. We understand that. Everybody understands that. But I think it's very, very important that everybody feels a sense of inclusion. And the president did allow that. There are issues. There are grievances. And when he said, these have to be worked out, it's not as if nobody should talk about that kind of thing. No. He just sort of, just very much like Yemi Osinbajo did in his own time and in a different context, pointed out there are avenues for these things. So also the president pointed to the Council of State, the National Assembly. By all means, go and exhaust all of those options. But in the meantime, no negotiations shall be, don't even think about it. It's cost us too much. The unity that we have. Well, there are those who will say, what unity are you talking about? We understand that. But having come this far, it's cost us a heck of a lot.
Yes.
If it has cost us one Nigerian life.
If I may quote him, he says, when things get bad, those guys who are fermenting this trouble, they run away and saddle others with the responsibility of bringing back order, if necessary, with their blood, quote and unquote. Now, but he went ahead to say that this is not to deny that there are legitimate concerns. Every group has a grievance. Every group has
really
a grievance.
all of the speech. Exactly what I've just said.
Every group has a grievance.
Exactly what I've just
said. And it
said.
says, but the beauty and attraction of a federation is that it allows different groups to air their grievances and work out a mode of coexistence. And that's what I love there. The fact that he's acknowledging, though telling you that, look, if na fight, we go fight them. But if you fight and a people will suffer, then he goes on to say, look, we know you have a grievance. Don't think I'm deaf.
And he also was warning the military
Yes.
to not feel complacent
because
of their successes.
Yeah, he did say that,
because Boko Haram, you know, we've heard all the stories.
Resurgence.
About, Boko Haram and other insurgents.
Yeah, yeah.
We've heard the stories about the successes of the military. But the president is saying no need to be complacent because not until they are stamped out altogether entirely.
Yeah.
So that's another message that you know, it's like the president is hitting the ground running, if you were to take indications from his speech.
He actually hit the ground running since Saturday.
Indeed.
By Saturday evening, he had a meeting with the acting president and the service chiefs, the four service chiefs, the chief of the air staff, chief of naval staff, the chief of army staff, and the chief of general staff, and of course with the inspector general of police. So the issue of security, the president is ready to take head on. And even before he spoke, you know, a lot of analysts who had been trying to, you know, look at the effect or the impact of the president's return, the likely impact of the president's return. What was constant on the lips of many was that it was going to give a fillip, you know, to the issue of the fight against insurgency and insecurity in the land. And that featured prominently in the president's speech. Don't forget that one of the three kernels of his administration is fight corruption, fight insecurity, and then fix the economy.
Talking of which, some people say that he didn't say one word about
the economy,
about either corruption or the economy.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, you all of those you deal, especially the economy, you can only deal with when there is relative peace.
Yeah.
And
but even at that, like after the meeting with the service chiefs, and that's what led him to say that we are going to reinforce and reinvigorate the fight, not only against elements of Boko Haram, kidnappings, farmers versus herdsmen clashes, ethnic violence fueled by political mischief makers. We shall tackle them
So these
all.
are all the problems that are clearly present to us. You know.
No, you know what I'm saying? He said, what made me to cut in is that he said, furthermore, we, dear Nigerians, our collective interest now is to eschew petty differences and come together to face the common challenges of economic security, political evolution and integration, as well as lasting peace among all Nigerians. Okay. That aspect of facing economic security is putting it as, let's take care of the foundation. Yeah. As we're taking care of the foundation, we are going to face economic
I'll come back
security.
to you. Good morning, Ishak.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to your guest.
Indeed.
Good morning.
I'm Ishak. I'm calling from Jos. Mr. Yori, we're happy to see the return of Mr. President back to the country in good health. I think all the Nigerians will all celebrate to have him back. So I want to advise that Mr. President should really take it slowly while he's fully recuperated. So that he will devote more power to the vice president, who is more younger and vibrant. However, on his address to the nation this morning, I appreciate the fact that Mr. President mentioned in his address that there is a lot of grievances across the country. I think that's the more reason why we should listen to people's grievances, and for a sustainable peace to reign in this country, that means our unity is negotiable. So I still want to believe that phrase you should be looked into, because for we to have a sustainable peace, you should listen to every grievances and address it accordingly. So our prayer is that may God guide our leaders to take the right decision. On the issue of the economy, we want the president, we want him to, issue of economy, they should look into it, because the economy is very key to development of the nation. And the cabinet reshufflement, I think, is very key. we have inefficiency in this executive federal executive cabinet. And for the fact that some ministers are bypassing even the acting president when he was in acting capacity to take some certain decision or approach on the presidency, they should look into those who have jumped those guns among the ministers and they should be sure the exit door. I think the institution should be respected. It's not the loyalty to the system should be for the institution, not an individual. That's my take. Have a wonderful day.
Indeed, same to you, Isha.
The summary of what he said is that the Lion King is back. The hyenas and the jackals.
Yeah, me.
Let me just say this. You see, you do not expect the president, not just the president of Nigeria, to go into tactics, to go into details. He said three key things towards the end of his address. Number one, fixing the economy. Number two, political evolution. Now, and then he talked about, integration. Now, what is political evolution? People are talking about restructuring. See, there are certain things that you must understand have been issue. We are not negotiating whether Nigeria should remain as Nigeria. What we're saying is, let us have ground rules on how to relate. You do not expect any sitting leader, any sitting president, anybody presiding over any organization to give you the indication that is willing for that organization to disintegrate by whatever name you call it. So nobody can hold the president or any president for that matter. Every president Nigeria has had, and every past president, even now, including Goodluck Jonathan, General Obasanjo, Abdul Salami, Babangida, all of them keep saying the unity of Nigeria should not be, compromised.
Yes.
But what you are saying is, and the president addressed it, political evolution means that things are not the way they are. It's not really the best. We could get better.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
In other words, it can evolve. But one more minute, I beg your pardon. Reverend Dominic, good morning. I'm so sorry, Reverend Dominic. See if you can get back in.
And then you mentioned lasting peace among all Nigerians. See, I think people forget that before you become president of Nigeria, you swear to an oath. And the oath is to uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution itself says your job is to preserve the territorial integrity of Nigeria. If you set out as a president to want to go against the Constitution itself, then you are violating your oath. Okay. So what takes care of that is the political evolution and integration. Okay. If the political evolution leads us to a confederation,
so be it. If that is what it evolves into.
Mention of something which I want to say. Let the discourse move to the National Assembly primarily and the National Council of States. We can talk as much as we can talk outside. We cannot do anything outside the purview of the Constitution. We'll take about the National Assembly.
Stay right with us, please. I've got to take a break. Be right back. Welcome back. The president is back in town. This Monday morning, I'm sure he's at his desk. We heard what seemed like a recorded speech, all of 4.5 minutes, but it was power-packed. The president was unequivocal in the unity of Nigeria not being negotiable. It depends. There are different shades of opinion. One paper this morning was saying that by so saying, he was showing his disdain for the conference that had held before because it had, leaned in that direction. What would you say to that? Let me take you first, Yemi.
Let me say very clearly that the conference we had in 2014 is not the only conference we had in this country. And let me also say very clearly that all the provisions, or the key provisions of the 2014 National Conference are nowhere different from the submissions of previous conferences. So there is nothing sacrosanct about the 2014 National Conference. And you must also understand that the National Conference was peopled by those who were 80 or 85% appointed by the president. So the legitimacy is not even there.
One moment, please. Let me bring in Mr. Afolabi from Ikeja. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is Afolabi. Commend your works and my uncles there. And we appreciate the presence, the coming back of our president. And one thing we need to realize and I notice about Nigerian politics is that everybody keeps saying things that suits their narrative. It is very funny when some a representative of the government that have ruled Nigeria for 16 years is questioning the confab or non-implementation of the confab of the 2-year-old government. This Jonathan government in 2014 had this confab. Why? They should just give me one reason why President Jonathan did not sign it into law. See, we keep going on and on about these things. Like the problem of Nigeria started in 2015. A lot of these things that we are not clamoring for. So 16 years on the uninterrupted power by PDP never saw the necessity to restructure or to amend or to revitalize. But in 2 years, it has become the most important thing. When people are dying in Bono, and the president cannot even receive medical treatment in Nigeria, is it even not? I don't even need anybody to tell me as an intellect. I mean, it is logical to know that if president stays in Nigeria and receives his medical treatment in Nigeria, it would have cost us more. Do you know what it costs to bring an expatriate to Nigeria to come and do anything in Nigeria? Not to talk of the president.
All right then.
Yeah, we can all give all these excuses. And some people are saying that they want the president to say what was wrong with him. If president tells you now that he's having terminal cancer, do you know what is going to happen to the politics of Nigeria by that announcement? So
all right,
it's better for me to keep quiet as a president than to lie.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Folabi. Well, all of that is behind us, hopefully, because we have what we always wanted. We wanted our president back to continue the work he started, because he still is going to be held accountable. And I think he feels that more than probably anybody.
Yes.
He knows that he has a job to do that he was elected to do, and he seems quite eager to do it. Yeah, the point made by Mr. Afolabi, I don't know. I would hope that the time has come to let go of those details, those bickerings, and because when the president said that they were going beyond the pale on social media, you people can, all of us can attest to that. I mean, people who don't even know each other are busy quarreling on social media, getting personal, insulting each other on this same issue. But the much more important work of governance, that is what the president is going to be tested on.
Yes.
That's what is going to be judged on. That's what is going to be assessed on. Whether or not he wants a second term, that is the focus right now.
Yeah. And that's why
I understand Mr. Mohammed has called in from Ikeja. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed.
Good morning, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, let me talk on the 2014 National Conference. That a lot of people want a president, the incumbent president, to start implementing it with his, you know. I think the last report, we are committed to President Jonathan, 8 months before his exit from the government.
Exactly.
But the man never cared to implement it because it was political, because it was a food for the boys. When some people went to the National Assembly, the National Conference, and collected 12 million naira each for 3 months. For God's sake, if you are human in this country, I'm sorry to use that word, we should have questioned that conference, questioned those who collected that money. That is the same people who are coming back today and be telling us about restructuring, who failed to restructure their mindset, who failed to talk to themselves, who failed to tell themselves that then Nigeria were hungry, and you went to the National Conference and collect 12 million naira to your home without any other thing, and without consulting me that somebody is going to represent me somewhere. It's unfortunate. Let us be focused.
Okay.
Let us pray for this man. I am sure he's a man of goodwill, and we are very sure that he's going to take Nigeria to the sky.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in. Amadi, I wanted to take it because he's here now.
Yes.
So we want to leave his speech and the historical details and all the bickering onto the job at hand now. I think the president gave something of an indication of what his priorities would be. What would you think he should? Somebody has, I don't know, was it here that we talked about maybe shuffling the cabinet? I don't know how you feel on that particular score. Some people thinking it is necessary to shuffle the cabinet. That's been in the air for a while.
I think for his own safety, he must have heard a lot about the hyenas and the jackals while he was away. And now that he's back, there must be, whether for efficiency and for his own personal safety and the fact that the buck stops on his desk, he must have begun to realize that some people must go, or some positions, maybe some square pegs and some round holes, and must say a way of re-engineering his cabinet, because if you're going to move forward, the cabinet is a tool of the president.
Yeah, but when you say for his own safety, I mean the president is the president. He's the commander-in-chief. He's
political sagacity. There's sometimes.
So when you talk about his personal safety, I don't know. The president can't be in any danger in his own government, in his own office. It hasn't gotten that bad.
Fifth columnists, moles, and Donald Trump had to remove Steve Bannon and other people because he felt that the White House was looking like the Aso Rock.
Okay, one moment, please. One moment, please. Mazi Okoroafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess, in the studio. Happy New Week, sir.
Indeed.
Honestly speaking, I thank God for that issue. Like what you underline is not negotiable. I think what we are going to look into is that if Nigerians will try as much as possible and put a stop to hate speech and put a stop to all this issue of glamoring for restructuring, and also call our ASU people to go back to work, let the government leave, so that all our students hanging around, all of them will know that their future is that the government are ready to make sure everybody, you go to school, get your paper qualification, and get a job. That is will help us. Everybody, both east, west, north, and south, for everywhere satisfied. And this morning, I thank God that our president is back, and I prophesy and I decree that God will continue to guide our president, that every day of his life, that we need to pray hard for our president for good health and prosperity. He who has ears, let him hear. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Indeed. Thank you very much. So talking about what the president's to-do list should be, immediate to-do list.
He has already outlined that. The economic stability and economic prosperity. He had already said that. How is he going to do this? How is he going to do this? Because at the end of the day, it is not just coming out and mouthing things. There are some things, and people tend to forget this. The acting president had already started work on the economic stability over the last many months. The Naira, maybe not at the best of times, but Naira is stabilized. And then a lot of things is going on in regards to shoring up the taxation and things like that.
So all of these have to be furthered, is what you are saying.
With his presence, and giving it a stamp of presidential.
Because don't forget, it's one administration. Yemi Osinbajo or not.
But you see, when it was not around.
It's one administration.
When it was not around, there must have been people that were saying that, now Yemi, they talk. Make Oga come back, we'll have our way. But he was trying to, if you say, watch at the airport, he held Yemi's hand. He held Yemi's hand as if this is my beloved son in whom I'm well placed. And there's a way in which some people who all along may have felt that once the president comes back, it will be business as usual. They now know that this man is in support of what Yemi Osinbajo have been all along. In fact, both of them, Yemi must have been implementing the agenda of the president in the area of economic reforms. He may not have succeeded as we want him to succeed, but I think it's going to be a continuum because the way he even made mention of this, he said, looking back at what happened, Yemi Osinbajo is one of the leaders of tomorrow that give him confidence.
Okay. Obinna, good morning, sir, in Kumasi, Ghana.
Good morning, Yuri, and good morning, your guests over there.
Yeah. Good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Before I go ahead, I have to ask some questions. Have President Buhari, have him send the letter to National Assembly to resume office fully, or Osinbajo, is this still the acting president? Okay.
After that, what's the next point you wanted to make?
For my contribution about his speech he made today, it's very, very fortunate that he said that when he met Ojukwu told him him and Ojukwu agreed in Nigeria unity. Please, I want to ask Mr. President, what of the Aburi Accord Gowon and Ojukwu came in before the 1967 war? What of that one? If the president is so law-abiding by the word of Ojukwu, he should abide by that Aburi Accord. Aburi Accord is still standing. Gowon is alive. Let him go and ask Gowon, what did you and Ojukwu agree at Aburi Accord?
Okay.
To go to true federalism.
Okay, Obinna. I hear what you're saying, Obinna. Thank you very much for saying it. But, Obinna, are you there? Obinna. I think he lost him.
He was calling from Aburi.
Because he's calling from abroad.
From Ghana.
And from Kumasi. And you know, so, but I wanted to ask, if I'd still been able to, I wanted to ask what his thoughts are on the indivisibility of Nigeria as a concept.
Obviously, he was referring to Aburi based on, you see, when Buhari met Emeka Ojukwu,
yeah, but
both of them were not
I don't want us to go too much into history.
Yeah,
the president is back in town.
Yeah,
and
this comment is very important.
It is, okay.
Both of them were not holding elective offices. They met as friends. Ojukwu was not in the National Assembly. Buhari was not even, they were just like friends.
Yeah,
and they had a discussion.
We don't even have a need to counter every point that comes out from there.
What Buhari was referring to was that, look, it was my friend. We had a
exactly.
That's all.
President Buhari, who was a competent officer at the time, he knows this war more than anybody who was watching or reading about it. So he said that it is his point of view that the war that cost us so much and that cost him a lot, you know, that there was no way they were going to undo all the benefits of that. And so Nigeria must remain one, was his perspective. And he said, coincidentally, it seemed to be Dim Odumegu Ojukwu's own as well. End of story. But coming back into the present and going forward.
So in addition to the political, in addition to the economic stability, he talked about the political evolution and integration. And he did mention that the National Assembly, and the Council should take it up from there. And I think it's not his job. Evolution doesn't stop on the desk or the table.
Indeed.
It stops on the desk of the elected officials.
Mr. George, thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to the guests.
Good morning.
I was very happy the way the president summarized the speech by going straight to the point. But what I would advise is that if you remember that there is not much time left to execute his policies, it is time to just address some urgent issues without delaying anything. He should revamp his cabinet. We want to see better results. And these people that are making hate speeches and using restructuring to guise up in order to destroy the government, he should do exactly as he said, that he's going to deal decisively with people who are cloaking up under several guises in order to bring down the government.
Indeed.
If you just go beyond saying it and doing it, I know that nothing will happen. If I were the president, I will rearrest Kanu and make sure it goes to jail as an example to other people who are hiding under such agitations in order to avenge their grievances. The cabinet should be rejigged, Uncle Yori. There are many ministers. For example, I did not know we even had a minister of education until ASU went on strike last week. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. And he did say that the strike is going to end very, very, very soon.
Yes, but did we need to wait for a strike before we know we have a minister of education? That shouldn't just be. We have there's no light, you know, and the 2.5 years is already gone. We want to be seeing results, not...
Indeed.
And I think that's part of the symbolism
Thank you very much, Mr. George.
Of the brief nature of the president's speech.
We
have no time.
We have no time. It was very brief. It was to the point. It was unambiguous. So nobody could be in any doubt as to the resolve of the president to proceed with gusto, you know, tackling all of these concerns. As Mr. George says, and as you have said, time is scarce. And the list is long of those things that he wants to achieve. We spent a lot of time. Perhaps by now it might be indeed that the president has decided that he needs to, you know, juggle his team, you know, for better results. It might be that he's satisfied with what he has. We don't know. We'll wait for the president. Light. Mr. Just spoke about power. I don't know. What's your experience? Hasn't it got better in the past week or so?
Well, like the Minister of Power himself said, that the kind of report you get, some will send a message to say, oh, thank you, power has improved in our area.
So,
and then some others will send messages that say, hey, we've not had power for so long. But the bottom line is that there is so much more to do in the power sector. Yeah. And you see, government will not be able to provide the required power that we need. And that is part of the restructuring that is required, and that has even started with the Ministry of Power. A lot of things have been unbundled. We are now saying, look, you can have mini grids. And that's what a lot of people have been talking about. When you have a national grid, what a national grid means is that every building in Nigeria that will use power must be connected. There must be a transmission line, a network of transmission lines to where the grid is. And you could imagine the amount of power that is lost in terms of, distance, and then the kind of things you need to protect those installations, and the rest of every meter of the way. So we need to really take some painful decisions as a government, and that is what I think this president should do in the next 1 year, because it doesn't really have more than a year to make impact.
Owalemi from Sapele in Delta, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Larry. Thanks for the good work. Yeah, I just want to say we thank God for the president is back. I also want to say also that those guys clamoring for restructuring and whatever it's called, if it's the same effort they are using, to check on the state governors and other people in the politics that is not in the federal system, I think the country would have been better. It's high time we tell ourselves the truth. We should go back to our defense and begin to agitate and call for good governance. And I believe the country is going to get better. But everybody is pointing towards the federal. Why at the state level, the local government, a lot of rots are going on. So I think we need to call them to order. Let everybody go back to their places. Agitation should start from the local government, the state, and then before we start talking of federal government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ahmadi, to come back to you, I imagine the president is going to be calling all of his ministers to come and give an account of their stewardship, and he'll be evaluating it. And I imagine that, look, what happened? Nobody wanted the president to be ill, but he was ill. He would have, so proverbially made lemons, having been handed the lemon.
Made lemonades,
having been handled lemons. He would now have heard what perhaps he wouldn't have heard. He would have seen what perhaps he wouldn't have seen in terms of behavior, action. And he's pretty well placed now that he has seen, shall we say, human nature of even his chosen government officials. And so he's probably in a very, very good place to effect whatever change is necessary, if indeed a change is necessary.
In fact, I'm sorry to say this, I may shock some people. To many people, the coming of the president was a coup d'etat, because it's like the guy just took over power, whereas they thought the guy won't come back, even within his own cabinet. So some heads will roll, And beyond that is that nobody, even a healthy man who goes on a holiday for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you stay away from work, you are forced to
reacclimatize when you come back in.
No, not just reacclimatize. You are forced to think. You are forced to retreat. You are forced to ask yourself, why am I here? What am I going back to do? And when you're looking at the big picture from outside the country, when you're out of the immediate environment, and you're looking back at what is going on,
you get a unique perspective. Isaka in Birin Kebi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Uncle Yori, I want to protest first about you need to restructure this your program, because people from our side are not always on the line.
Okay, Isaka, please continue.
Yeah.
Nice joke, nice one. Thank you.
Thank you for all this program you are putting the young ones through.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very encouraging. And please, I am a Yoruba person. I grew up in the north. I was born there. I'll give you first-hand information of what is happening.
Sure.
See, people like Yinka Odumaki, you need to bring them to the fore. Let them tell us, have he ever been in the north? Has he knows what we are, what is our plight? You are where you are. It is your hard work that will make people to notice you. When you are talking about restructuring, you have not even traveled to the length and breadth of the country. See how the ordinary people are mingling with each other. So there is a need for our leaders to caution themselves, perhaps self-imposed leaders.
Indeed.
So please, let's all join hands and support this government. When it comes to another person, let's also support him. I believe that no matter how, whoever is the president of Nigeria is not concerned about religion and is not concerned about wherever you come from. All what he wants to see, as you mentioned earlier, he wants to see the development of this country. Yeah. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you, Isiaka. Nice of you to go. Sorry, before I forget. The president touched on quite a wide, spectrum of issues in a very short and cryptic speech. I believe that if you listened to him, he also addressed this whole nonsense about quit notice to some people in the north to vacate it by a certain time. I think he put that in the context
saying that
of...
we have the right, every Nigerian has the right to live anywhere.
Exactly. And
you see, when all this was
happening... they're marginalizing me too. Somebody's telling me now that I have only 2 minutes to go. But now, please continue.
Fact of the matter is, I want to tie your question to what the last speaker said.
Sure.
When we sit down in a TV station, because we have access to the mass media, and we make pronouncements, are we sensitive enough of the implications of those pronouncements? When we have Nigerians living everywhere.
Being responsible for the comments we make.
Especially, look, there are so many people who are from the southeast of Nigeria who are everywhere in Nigeria. You are compromising their safety.
Indeed. So
by sitting down in Onitsha or
and I'm one of those.
Unacceptable.
I'm one of those
yes,
who have had cause to travel around the whole country.
20 seconds.
I've actually
20
lived
seconds.
in every state in this country, either through work or through visit. And I know that the average Nigerian in anywhere in the country believes he's a Nigerian. First, even though he may be an Igbo, maybe Yoruba, anything, his neighbors in that part of the country treat him very well, except when it comes to occasional violence here and there. So we must be very careful the way we talk in this country.
Indeed.
Some people are in danger.
So we're feeling on top of the world. Mr. President is back. I'm sure most Nigerians...
Not jackals, hyenas. They're not feeling on top of the world.
Most Nigerians wish him well. And
you don't want me to mention that.
And so do we on the program. Thank you very much. That's our program today. Of course, AOB, any other business that results from this, we're going to be on top of it, as always. Thank you very much, Mr. Yemima Padirun, strategy and governance expert. Thank you also, Dr. Amadili Boyo, our public affairs analyst and medical practitioner. I always put that one in. Thank you very much for coming on the show, brother. So that's our program. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.